Today's episode is sponsored by the 2023 Rhode Island Business Summit, presented by Stella Business Concepts on September 21st at the Event Factory in Warwick, Rhode Island. Join us to connect with B2B vendors, amazing networking opportunities, and guest speakers like Patricia Raskin, who will talk to you about podcasting for your business, leadership with Mary Sullivan, or customer retention with me, Erica Sicoscio, and more. We have panelists, and we also have a very fun, amazing lunch and learn with Rhode Island comic Poppy Champlin. Tickets are on sale now. Visit our website at www.stellabusinessconcepts.com. See you there. Hey guys, welcome to Practical Biz Podcast. I am your host, Erica Sicoscio, and I want to talk to you today about why you as a business owner should stop renting and purchase your own commercial property with a 504 loan. Today we are joined with James from Ocean State Business Development, who is an expert, if you will, on the 504 loan. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So welcome to our show.
Yes, thank you, Erica. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So tell us, maybe let's start, before we even dig into the loan, why do you think it makes sense for business owners to purchase commercial property?
Well, under the SBA program, it's really heavily incentivized, and the SBA is really there to get small businesses into owning real estate, into expanding their business. The whole purpose of the SBA is for the expansion of job and job creation. And so with respect to small business owners seeking to purchase commercial real estate, our stereotypical client has been renting forever. They finally dust off that lease agreement and they say, hey, for what I'm paying in rent on a triple net basis, I could actually start building equity in their property.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I really want people to think about, if your business is successful or you have something that's really proven out, it doesn't really make sense to rent.
I would agree with that, yes.
If you're new, here's in my mind as a business coach. If you're new and you're not 100% sure that your proof of concept is going to work, that's when renting makes sense. You do a shorter term lease, see how things go.
Absolutely.
It's not as much of a commitment. But if you're you've been doing it for a lot of years and you are a pro in your field, it doesn't make sense to rent.
Absolutely, yeah. And I 100% agree with that, both on the small business side as well as a personal side. You as a residential home buyer, same thing. Why would you rent when you can own?
Yes, that's a great analogy. So, and I think too, when you rent, that's a liability. When you purchase a property, that's an asset.
Absolutely.
And so it helps you build wealth.
Absolutely.
And then also, I think, I'm a little bit older now. Sorry to say, but I'm a little bit older now. So when you start to think about your exit strategy and when you go to sell a business, it's certainly worth so much more,
Absolutely.
Significantly more, if you have commercial property attached to that.
Absolutely.
As opposed to a lease, and you're not at the mercy of anybody else.
Yeah, I always tell our clients that, obviously you're investing in the business, you're finding a permanent home, and ideally you're finding your dream building that's not only going to increase the capacity of your business on a go-forward basis, but I always say this is also an annuity for you. So if you sell the business and you keep the real estate and you want to keep that rental income coming in, obviously that's great. Or if you want to sell the business with the real estate, that's essentially your retirement plan at the end of the day.
Good point. And then I think too, 99% of businesses usually have to do a build out. So you're getting, if you get a 7A loan, you're taking that money out and you're investing it into someone else's property.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
And so then they jack up your rent. What are you going to do? Because now that space is worth more with the loan that you took out and the equity, both sweat and money, and invested in someone else's building. So it just doesn't make sense. So
Absolutely.
Let's dig into what is a 504 loan.
Yeah, awesome. So let me take a step back. So Ocean State Business Development, we are what's called a certified development company licensed to offer what's called the SBA 504 program. And you indicated that Mark Hayward was on the show a couple of weeks ago. I definitely need to check that episode out. Mark is a tremendous ally. He's amazing. We're very fortunate to have him here in the state of Rhode Island.
I agree.
But he loves this program. He loves all his SBA programs, but I love the terminology that he uses. He calls the 504 program the window to Wall Street, which is amazing.
Yes, he does.
So basically, Ocean State Business Development, we're a licensed certified development company, licensed to offer the 504 program. Basically, how the program works is we partner with banks in transactions. The bank takes 50% of the project. We come in with up to 40%, leaving the small business owner to come in with as little as 10% down. Basically, this whole program is all about keeping as much working capital and cash to our small business owners' pockets to, keep the lights on, pay their employees, manage payroll, purchase inventory. So we get them in the door with as little as 10% down. And then subsequently, our portion of the loan is fixed really 25 years. So no investment properties. This is really the best program out there for any small business looking to purchase commercial real estate.
Yeah, I know. I used it.
Yeah.
I used it, and I went through to say
Yes. Oh, thank you.
I did. So that's how we purchased our first building.
Yeah.
For the child care program.
Yeah.
Exactly that. We
Yeah,
partnered
absolutely.
With business development and Bank RI.
Oh,
And now I think it
wonderful
was
bank.
$50,000 down, and we were able to buy a building that was $500,000.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tremendous tool in any small business owner's pocket. And this really was designed for small businesses. For example, I'm working with a client right now. They are currently in a 20,000 square foot industrial building, and he's a furniture manufacturer. He is totally uncapacitated at his current facility. So he finally found a piece of property, 50,000 square feet. So this building's not only affordable to him with respect to the 10% down compared to a conventional bank loan, which requires 25 to 30% down.
Yep.
But this building, he's going to retrofit it out to be his dream building. It's going to increase capacity, and it's going to, basically provide consistent, stable growth on, on a go-forward basis.
Yeah, and that's something really to consider too, because ironically, across the street was our first building. And we outgrew it very quickly, and then we moved to a larger location. But so that does happen too when you get a place and you start up and you grow much faster than you think you're going to.
Yeah.
And you need more space. You don't want to keep having to move and reinvest, and
Absolutely.
So that makes sense to get something just a smidge bigger,
Yeah.
so that you have that growth opportunity. So,
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, the biggest eligibility requirements is we like to see a small business be in operation for at least 2 years, kind of proven model concept. And subsequently, the biggest eligibility requirement is that the small business needs to occupy greater than 51% of the real estate. A lot of people think that mixed-use buildings are not permissible, but in fact, they are permissible. That actually, we kind of like to see that because that adds a secondary source of income. So, we can't do investment properties, but as long as the small business is truly going to occupy the majority of the space for what their business is, that's totally permissible as well.
Yeah. And Mark had made a good point when people were trying to figure out what qualified and what didn't as far as that usage of spaces. If you're using downstairs for storage,
Yes.
or you're using it as a workstation or whatever, to count that. It isn't just your offices and your storefront,
Absolutely.
but any part of that building that really is used for your building business.
Attic space, basement space, if there's loading docks, perhaps some outdoor space if you're a landscaper or something like that.
Yeah.
Store your truck, store your equipment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything that's going to help your business grow. And basically how we look at things, if somebody's been renting forever, and as I mentioned, that's our stereotypical client, we have the ability during underwriting, not to get into the minutia, is add back all of that previous rental expenses. So that adds total available cash flow that we can underwrite the deal on, because on a go-forward basis, they're no longer going to be renting that space any longer. They're going to be utilizing that capital for, principal and interest on the loan.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's definitely a great program. So repayment terms, what do those look like?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we partner with banks and transactions. The bank will be offering more than likely a 25-year amortization at a 5-year fix. That's kind of a traditional conventional bank loan. The bank takes 50% of the total project at a first mortgage. The benefit with us is we provide a 25-year fixed, and currently the interest rates are lower than a conventional bank loan. Basically, where we get our capital from is government guaranteed bonds that are yielded on the secondary market. Not to get into the nitty gritty, but
okay, get into it.
Yeah.
We get into the weeds over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why we're here.
Absolutely. So, one of the reasons that the bonds are priced lower, pricing is based loosely off the 10-year treasury and the underlying derivatives of those treasury bonds. So typically the yields are a lot lower. and they're 100% guaranteed by the government. So the bondholders love these. The amount of capital that's out there is tremendous, and that's how we're able to pass on the fixed rate at a lower market rate than conventional banks.
We got a good rate. We purchased our building in 2008.
Wow.
We still have a fantastic rate.
Absolutely.
Thank God, because the rates now, I don't know that I would really love them at this.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, the interest rate and knowing what you're getting into for 25 years, knowing you're going to have that steady payment, it really allows the small business owners to hedge against any interest rate sensitivity.
Yeah, and it goes fast, and it really does go fast. I mean, I think we're in year 16, and now our payments are really just shaving off the payments. I'm like, whoa, that's dropping. It's dropping.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So we're in a lot of that that principal part right now. What about what do people need to do as far as documentation, and what do they need to get ready to apply for a 504?
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. So basically, our process is we meet with the client. We kind of introduce ourselves, kind of who we are, what we do. I walk them through the process from start to finish. Now, if they've identified a property, they want to submit a letter of intent. We walk them through the process with respect to if they want to do renovations, how to go about getting contractor quotes. We point them in the right directions of sophisticated closing attorneys that are sophisticated in this type of lending. Basically one of the biggest things that we see that delays the process is borrower's counsel. I always say that borrower's counsel is like a quarterback in the transaction. We're obviously all here to support the borrower, the principal at the end of the day. And from day one, we build a team. So whether it be it myself, the bank, borrower's counsel, bank's counsel, the broker, drafting purchase and sales agreement, we kind of facilitate the whole transaction from day one. So with respect to the application process, there's a few different ways that we typically look at things. So, for example, if we have a borrower that's identified a piece of property, they're thinking about putting a letter of intent in, but they're not 100% sure whether or not they can qualify on paper, that's totally fine. Oftentimes I still spend the time with them. We get a couple years of tax returns, maybe some updated interim financials, and I do a quick cash flow for them. From there, I can give them somewhat of an arbitrary budget. Hey, we think you can afford this on paper. Maybe if you go out into the market, this is kind of what we feel comfortable with, if that kind of makes sense. And then depending on the scenario, I always say that we're in the business of telling stories. So if the building is a logical expansion of the small business's going concern, we do have the ability to rely on some projections there, as long as there's a rational undertone as to do that. Now, on the flip side, if a borrower is already in a purchase and sales agreement, we walk them through the process, and then same thing. We get 2 years of historical tax returns, a personal financial statement, a debt schedule, copies of licenses, and some few ancillary things. And basically, I have a conversation with the bank. I have a conversation with my credit committee, and assuming that we can move forward, we submit it to underwriting the next week, and we start the appraisal and the environmental process.
Yeah. It was pretty seamless. I felt like it moved pretty quickly for us.
Nice.
As well. So, what off the top of your head, maybe what are the pros and what are the cons of a 504?
Yeah, with respect to the pros, it's this whole program's all about keeping as much money into small businesses' pocket as possible. 10% down. You get the fixed rate for 25 years. And typically the banks that we've worked with are absolutely tremendous. So not only do you get the benefit of working with us, whether it be we introduce you to a local bank or you have a local banking relationship, you get to evolve that relationship from a banking perspective, whether it be a deposit relationship, if they need a working capital line, if they need, another loan for inventory, whatever the case may be, it's really blossoming the business on a go-forward basis. With respect to cons, we can primarily only finance tangible assets, mainly in the form of real estate and equipment. So we can't provide things like working capital loans. We can't provide any leasehold build out in the majority of scenarios. That's a different type of program. That's called the SBA 7A program, both of which are tremendous programs. But this really is primarily for real estate.
For the real estate, right. So if you need to figure out how you can do the build out and the other things that you need, like you said, then apply for the 7A.
7A loan. Yeah, you know, a scenario that we're seeing quite often these days, especially now after COVID, is we're seeing a lot of small business owners sell. So to your point earlier in the conversation, you were talking about selling the business and selling the real estate. So we're seeing a lot of that right now. And you know, the 7A is a complementary product where we can lend on the real estate, and then whatever bank that we partner with, who has the sophistication in this type of lending, they can also facilitate the business acquisition portion as well.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that I will often frequently mention when people talk about, oh, the economy is bad. I'm like, well, I opened my business in 2008, which was the last recession, but the property that I purchased was an existing center.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of opportunity, as you said, when recessions is usually when some businesses close, but for those who have been waiting to open, it's a great opportunity to do it then, as providing you have the experience, capital, credit, etc. It's a great time to make that move because you can usually get something that's already close to ready for what you need.
Yeah.
Maybe requires less money to get it, open and operational. So I always feel like that's
absolutely.
A pro.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, fundamentally, the SBA really was designed for job creation at the end of the day. So there's three major products under the SBA, going back to your point about the startup nature. So it begins with the SBA Express loan. That is 50% guaranteed to the banks. So basically, the whole purpose of the SBA is to give a government guarantee to the banks to incentivize them to take a little bit more risk and incentivize them to put some more capital on the street. So, you know, for example, if you're looking at starting a business and you're not quite ready to purchase, you identify a leasehold space and you want to build out anything from a restaurant to a daycare to a manufacturer center, you know, under $350,000, that's permissible. You know, those funds can be used to do the leasehold build out, to buy some equipment, to retrofit the space, just like this beautiful space that we're in right now. And so you kind of start there. From there, assuming a couple of years go by, you're ready to grow, expand, then you have the 7A program. That provides, I believe, up to an 85% guarantee to the banks. And that can be used for pretty much everything that's under the Express, but that's a lot larger than $350,000.
Yeah.
So that can be used for things like working capital, leasehold improvements, equipment, various different things. If there is a business acquisition component to that, that would be a perfect 7A.
Yeah.
And then on the highest level would be the 504. You know, basically, you went from your leasehold and then you grew, and then now you're ready to find a building. That's when you go for the 504. And to Mark Hayward's point, the window to Wall Street kind of opens up for you. You know, you build that liquidity, you build that 10% down, but you still get to save some money in your pocket, and you get to build equity in your real estate on a go-forward basis.
Yeah.
Kind of building out your dream building.
Yeah. So let's talk about some cool projects that you're working on, because we're in Rhode Island, and I love Rhode Island, and I'm always going to support Rhode Island. So let's talk a little bit about some of the cool projects that you're working on in Rhode Island.
Yeah, so this is all public record. So we are very, very lucky. We have some of the coolest clients in the state. You know, I have a special place in my heart for all of our clients. Everything from restaurants to daycares to hotels to breweries. For example, we just finished a major construction project for a restaurant on Water Street called Chomp. This is his second location. I was at the soft opening on Sunday, and the place looks absolutely incredible. The burgers there are absolutely delicious. The drinks were amazing.
I love the name. I want to go to Chomp right now.
Absolutely, yeah. So Sam was an absolutely tremendous client. We also have a few other more boutique catering restaurants as well. Keen's Catering, absolutely amazing. Barbecue for catering and weddings. We also did a poker company, manufacturing company called Eastern Poker. Big shout out to Glenn and Gretel McCrory out there. They do manufacturing for poker tables for pretty much all of the MGM Grand Casinos, a few other casinos out there in Las Vegas. And so, yeah, that's true, like small business lending, true job creation, manufacturing here in the state of Rhode Island. And a few other big ones that we've done is Isle Brewers Guild down in Pawtucket. Precious Angels, Pumpkin Patch, other daycares in the area.
Yeah.
Shout out to Danny Petroselli out there. And we are just very, very blessed with some amazing small business owners doing some incredible things right now.
Rhode Island, small but big business, right?
Absolutely.
Small state, big business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to share that we didn't ask, or any best tips that you think somebody should know that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, whether it be a startup or an existing business, it never hurts to begin a commercial relationship with a bank. And that can be something as small as a deposit account, having a conversation with a commercial lender, especially if you're already in business, really just developing a local presence and a local relationship with a bank that when you are ready to take that next step, they're there to support you. We're very, very lucky here. We have some great banks in the state. And, typical Rhode Islanders, a lot of the lenders here are from Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. They understand the geographics of the market. They understand the economy. And everybody from Centerville Bank, Bay Coast Bank, Bristol County Savings Bank, Bank Newport, Bank Rhode Island, People's Credit Union. We have some truly amazing, and I apologize for other banks that I failed.
We love you all. Anybody who gives money to small business and supports small business, we love you all. But we just only can speak on the experiences that we've had personally. So
absolutely.
Bank RI, we are a huge Bank RI fans here at Practical Biz.
Very, very wonderful bank, which is awesome.
Yeah. But I'm sure they're all great.
Yeah.
So look at the camera, give folks your contact information. They want to find out more about how to connect with Ocean State Business Development and find out how they can start to purchase their own personal property.
Well, Erica, thank you so much for having me. You can reach out to me, James Teirney, Ocean State Business Development, www.osbda.com. All of our contact info is on there. Feel free to reach out to me. There's no project too big or too small. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Practical Biz Podcast. Again, remember, hit that subscribe button. You know where it is. Leave us a comment below. Give us a like. We appreciate your support so much. Thank you. Have a good day. Are you a business owner? Are ready to get your startup? Well, started. Have a burning question you would like us to answer? Want to know more about the services we offer? Or register for upcoming workshops and events? Looking to book a guest speaker? Or would like to be a guest on the Practical Biz Podcast? Visit our website at stellabusinessconcepts.com.